What if the very symbols of health on your plate, the vibrant, crisp, and supposedly life-giving vegetables you've trusted for decades, were quietly working against you? Imagine a trusted friend, someone you've relied on your entire life, suddenly revealing a hidden, challenging side. This is the disorienting reality many people between the ages of 60 and 80 are beginning to face. You've diligently followed the advice, filling your cart with colorful produce, believing each bite was a step towards a stronger heart, more flexible joints, and a longer, more independent life. Yet for some, this very diligence may be contributing to the exact problems they seek to avoid: joint stiffness that greets them each morning, a subtle stiffening of blood vessels, and an increased silent risk of heart-related issues. This is not a story meant to instill fear or to declare war on the vegetable aisle. It is a revelation born from emerging scientific understanding and the lived experiences of countless seniors. It is about illuminating a crucial truth. As our bodies gracefully age, our nutritional needs and sensitivities transform in profound ways. What was unconditionally beneficial at 40 may require a more nuanced approach at 70. The difference between knowing and not knowing this can be the difference between years of vibrant mobility and a slow decline into pain and dependence. Today, we embark on a journey of discovery, not restriction. We will delve deep into the science behind why certain common vegetables, still staples in many seniors' diets, might be acting as silent saboteurs, fueling inflammation, pain, and unexpected health crises. More importantly, we will uncover how, by understanding what is truly happening behind the scenes, you can reclaim control, simply, quickly, and without abandoning the plant-based foods that are foundational to good health. By the end of this exploration, you will be armed with the knowledge to make small, powerful shifts in your diet that can translate into fewer doctor's visits, less chronic pain, and a longer, stronger, more joyful life. If you care about safeguarding your heart, protecting your joints, and cherishing your independence in your golden years, you are in precisely the right place. Let's unravel the secrets your vegetables have been eating. The first secret: the nightshade enigma and the shadow of inflammation. One of the most pervasive and often overlooked dietary mistakes many seniors make revolves around a group of familiar vegetables known as the nightshades. This family includes some of our most beloved kitchen staples: the juicy tomato, the versatile white potato, the glossy eggplant, and the colorful bell pepper. We have been raised to view them as cornerstones of a healthy diet. Tomatoes are lauded for their lycopene, and potatoes have been a source of comfort and sustenance for generations. Yet, for a growing number of older adults, the regular and abundant consumption of these vegetables may be quietly fanning the embers of inflammation into a painful fire, particularly within joints already weathered by time. The issue lies with a group of natural chemical compounds called alkaloids, most notably one named solanine. In younger, more resilient bodies, these compounds are typically processed without any issue. However, as we enter our 60s, 70s, and 80s, our systems can become more sensitive. The cumulative effect of a lifetime of wear, coupled with subtle shifts in our digestive and immune functions, can change the way our body responds to these alkaloids. For those who are sensitive, solanine can act as a mild irritant to the digestive tract and, more critically, trigger an inflammatory response that can exacerbate conditions like arthritis. This isn't just a theoretical concern, it's a lived reality for many. Consider the story of Dorothy, a 72-year-old woman who for years had woken up to hands so stiff and swollen she struggled to make a fist. She had tried everything she could think of: topical creams, over-the-counter pain relievers, even specialized hand braces her doctor recommended. She had resigned herself to the belief that this was just an inevitable and cruel part of aging. The pain was her constant companion, a daily reminder of her body's decline. It wasn't until her daughter, after reading about the potential link between nightshades and inflammation, gently suggested a simple experiment. For 3 weeks, cut out tomatoes, potatoes, and peppers. Dorothy was skeptical, but desperate enough to try. The results were not instantaneous, but they were undeniable. By the end of the second week, she noticed the morning puffiness was less pronounced. By the third, she could slide her wedding ring on and off with an ease she hadn't felt in years. For Dorothy, the nightshades were the missing piece of her health puzzle. It wasn't that she was aging incorrectly, it was that her diet was unknowingly fighting her body. This is a powerful first step toward understanding how your body communicates with you. Many people dismiss the swelling in their knees or the ache in their fingers as an unavoidable consequence of getting older, but it might not be. It could be your diet sending you a clear signal. That was the first secret, a foundational insight into the nightshade family. If you find this information about the potential inflammatory effects of vegetables like tomatoes and white potatoes useful and plan to be more mindful of them, please comment with the number 1 below to let us know. From a cardiovascular perspective, the plot thickens. Some researchers have pointed out that certain alkaloids in nightshades may subtly influence the body's calcium metabolism. While this area requires more study, the theoretical concern is that this interference could, over a long period, affect how calcium is deposited in the body, potentially contributing to the calcification or stiffening of blood vessels. For a senior already managing blood pressure or concerned about heart health, this is a factor worth considering. The goal here is not a complete banishment of these vegetables. They offer valuable nutrients and are a cherished part of many culinary traditions. Instead, the invitation is to become a curious observer of your own body. If you consume tomato soup, potato-based dishes, or stuffed bell peppers almost daily and find yourself battling persistent joint pain or circulatory issues that defy explanation, it may be time to press pause and evaluate. The solution can be simple and empowering. Try swapping white potatoes for nutrient-dense sweet potatoes, which are not nightshades. Use zucchini or yellow squash in place of eggplant in your favorite recipes. The objective isn't to eat with fear, but to eat with wisdom, a wisdom that tunes into the unique needs of your body as it is today. In our later years, the pinnacle of healthy eating is not about eating less, but about eating right for the incredible body that has carried you this far. The second secret, the oxalate overload and the strain on your kidneys and joints. In our quest for health, we are often told to embrace dark leafy greens with open arms. Spinach, in particular, has been marketed as a superfood, a powerhouse of iron and vitamins. Similarly, the deep, earthy beet is celebrated for its ability to support blood flow. Many health-conscious seniors, taking this advice to heart, make spinach salads and beet smoothies a daily ritual, believing they are fortifying their bodies against the ravages of time. However, this well-intentioned habit could be a second hidden mistake, quietly contributing to kidney strain, mineral deficiencies, and agonizing joint pain through an overconsumption of compounds called oxalates. Oxalates, or oxalic acid, are naturally occurring compounds found in many plants, serving as a form of self-defense against pests. In small, manageable amounts, a healthy body can process and excrete them without any trouble. The problem arises when they are consumed in high concentrations, frequently, and by an aging body whose systems, particularly the kidneys, may not be functioning with the same youthful efficiency. When oxalate levels become too high, they can bind with minerals in the digestive tract, most notably calcium, forming tiny, sharp, insoluble crystals. This process has two major negative consequences. First, by binding to minerals like calcium and iron, oxalates can prevent their absorption, potentially leading to deficiencies over time even when your diet seems rich in these nutrients. Second, and more acutely, these oxalate crystals can cause significant problems. They can travel through the bloodstream and deposit themselves in various tissues, including the joints, where they can cause mechanical irritation and inflammation, manifesting as muscle aches, stiffness in the knees and back, or even sharp gout-like flare-ups. The most well-known danger, however, is their role in the formation of calcium oxalate kidney stones, which can be excruciatingly painful and require medical intervention. Let's bring this to life with the story of Harold, a 68-year-old retired engineer who prided himself on his disciplined, clean eating regimen. Every single morning, without fail, he would start his day with a large smoothie blended with a generous handful of raw spinach, a beet, and some fruit. He was convinced this was his secret to staying spry. Over several months, however, he started noticing a persistent, dull ache in his lower back and a new stiffness in his joints that his morning walks couldn't shake. He attributed it to a bad night's sleep or just getting on in years. Then, one morning, he was jolted awake by a searing pain in his side that brought him to his knees. A trip to the emergency room and a CT scan revealed the culprit, a kidney stone. His doctor, after reviewing his diet, gently explained that while his intentions were golden, his execution was flawed. It likely wasn't his age that caused the stone, but the massive daily influx of oxalates from his raw spinach and beet habit overwhelming his kidney's ability to clear them. Harold's story is a critical lesson. He didn't need to fear vegetables, he needed to understand them. His solution was not to eliminate greens, but to diversify and prepare them intelligently. He learned to rotate his greens, incorporating low oxalate choices like arugula, romaine lettuce, watercress, and cabbage into his diet. Crucially, he discovered that cooking high oxalate vegetables like spinach can dramatically reduce their oxalate content, as the compounds leach into the cooking water. Lightly steaming or boiling spinach and discarding the water before eating it made a world of difference. Harold still enjoys his greens, but now he does so with the wisdom that protects his body instead of punishing it. If you have been experiencing unexplained joint stiffness, gut discomfort, or have had issues with your kidneys, it is worth taking an honest look at your intake of high oxalate foods. These include not only spinach and beets, but also Swiss chard, rhubarb, and almonds. The message is one of moderation and mindful preparation. You do not need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Simply begin by paying attention to your body's subtle and sometimes not so subtle feedback. This exploration of oxalates is the second crucial secret to informed eating in your senior years. If these insights have been valuable to you, please comment with the number 2 below. And if you haven't already, we invite you to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Your support allows us to continue creating content that informs, empowers, and inspires our community. The third secret, the canned convenience trap and the assault of sodium and chemicals. In our modern world, convenience often reigns supreme. For many seniors, especially those living alone or with limited mobility, canned vegetables can seem like a godsend. They are affordable, have a long shelf life, and eliminate the need for washing, chopping, and cooking from scratch. A can of green beans or corn can feel like a simple, responsible choice for getting a serving of vegetables into a meal. But here lies the third dangerous secret. Not all vegetables are created equal, and the form in which we consume them matters immensely. Many canned vegetables are silently sabotaging your health, undoing the very benefits they are supposed to provide by being loaded with excessive sodium and chemical preservatives. Let's first address the issue of sodium. Take a can of standard green beans from the supermarket shelf. A single serving can contain anywhere from 400 to over 800 milligrams of sodium. To put that in perspective, the American Heart Association recommends that adults, especially those over 50 or with high blood pressure, aim for no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day. This means that a small side of canned green beans could account for a third or even half of your entire daily sodium allowance. For a senior's body, this sodium overload is particularly perilous. The kidneys, which are responsible for filtering excess sodium out of the blood, naturally become less efficient with age. When they are overwhelmed, the body retains excess fluid to dilute the sodium, increasing the volume of blood in the bloodstream. This forces the heart to work harder and increases pressure against the artery walls, leading to high blood pressure, a major risk factor for heart attack, stroke, and heart failure. The unexplained swelling or puffiness in the ankles and feet, often dismissed as poor circulation, can be a direct result of this sodium-induced fluid retention. The problem doesn't end with salt. Many metal cans are lined with a resin that contains bisphenol A, or BPA. This industrial chemical can leach from the can lining into the food, especially acidic foods like canned tomatoes. BPA is a known endocrine disruptor, meaning it can interfere with the body's hormonal systems. Research has linked chronic exposure to BPA with a host of health concerns, including increased oxidative stress, a kind of cellular rust that accelerates the aging process, and even potential negative effects on joint function over time. While many manufacturers are moving towards BPA-free cans, they are not yet universal, and older stock may still be on the shelves. Frank, a 78-year-old widower from Ohio, provides a poignant example. A pragmatic man, he stocked his pantry every winter with canned corn, peas, and carrots, believing he was making a healthy and practical choice. He was diligent about his health in other ways, but a routine checkup revealed his blood pressure was creeping into a dangerous zone, and his doctor noted significant swelling in his ankles. Frank was baffled. He didn't eat many chips or processed meats. The culprit, as his doctor suspected and a dietary review confirmed, was the hidden sodium in his healthy canned vegetables. After making the simple switch to frozen vegetables and low-sodium or no-salt-added canned versions, and making sure to rinse any regular canned goods he did use, the puffiness in his ankles subsided within weeks, and his next blood pressure reading showed a marked improvement. The lesson here is profound. Even the healthiest food can be rendered unhealthy by its processing and packaging. In a body over 60, the buffer for recovering from these chemical and mineral insults is much smaller than it once was. When your cardiovascular and renal systems are already working harder, this extra load can be the factor that tips the balance toward disease. So, the next time you reach for a can, become a detective. Turn it over and read the label. If the sodium content is over 140 milligrams per serving, the benchmark for low sodium, or if the ingredient list contains words you can't pronounce, consider putting it back. Reach for the frozen food aisle, where vegetables are typically flash frozen at peak ripeness with no added salt or preservatives. Or, if using canned, actively seek out the no salt added and BPA-free labels. Let your body thank you for it. Do you have any similar experiences with hidden ingredients in so-called healthy foods? We would love to hear your story in the comment section below. Sharing our knowledge helps the entire community grow wiser and healthier together. The fourth secret, the tangy deception of pickled and preserved foods. There's something undeniably satisfying about the tangy, salty crunch of a pickle or the sweet and sour bite of a pickled beet. They can liven up a sandwich, add a zesty counterpoint to a rich meal, and seem like a harmless, even quaint way to eat your vegetables. But within that brine-filled jar lies our fourth secret. For older adults, many commercially pickled vegetables can be a Trojan horse, quietly sabotaging heart health, aggravating joint pain, and disrupting blood sugar balance, especially when consumed on a regular basis. The problem lies in the preserving liquid itself, which is often a perfect storm of three inflammatory agents: salt, sugar, and aggressive vinegar. We have already discussed the dangers of excessive sodium on blood pressure and fluid retention, and pickled foods are notoriously high in it. But the other two components are equally concerning. Many commercial pickling processes use a surprising amount of refined sugar, or even worse, high fructose corn syrup, to balance the acidity and make the product more palatable. This hidden sugar contributes to spikes in blood glucose levels, a serious concern for anyone managing prediabetes or diabetes. Over time, chronically elevated blood sugar leads to a process called glycation, where sugar molecules attach to proteins and fats, creating harmful compounds that increase inflammation and stiffness throughout the body, including in the delicate linings of your arteries and the cartilage of your joints. Finally, while small amounts of certain vinegars like apple cider vinegar can have health benefits, the highly acidic brine used in mass market pickling can push your system toward a pro-inflammatory state. For someone already struggling with an inflammatory condition like arthritis, this constant acidic and sugary onslaught can be like pouring gasoline on a fire. It can mean more pressure on your joints, more aches and pains in the morning, and more cumulative wear and tear on your entire cardiovascular system. Consider the case of Walter, an 82-year-old from Georgia with a lifelong love for pickled beets. He would eat a small bowl of them almost every day, believing their earthy flavor was a healthy treat and that they might even be helping his digestion. Over the past few years, however, he found his knees stiffening to the point where his cherished morning walks around the neighborhood became a painful chore. His blood sugar levels were also starting to creep up, much to his doctor's concern. When he finally consulted a nutritionist to review his diet, the surprising culprit wasn't his occasional dessert, but his daily serving of pickled beets, which were hiding several teaspoons of sugar and a hefty dose of sodium in every serving. Once Walter cut back dramatically and replaced them with lightly steamed fresh beets, he noticed a remarkable change. The chronic stiffness in his joints began to ease, and his morning walks became enjoyable again. He felt as though he had gotten his legs back. Walter's experience is a classic example of how even a vegetable can work against you when it is overprocessed. As we age, our bodies become far more sensitive to these chronic stressors.
The subtle but constant assault from glucose spikes, water retention, and cellular inflammation takes a much heavier toll than it did at 40. Your heart and joints, the very foundations of your mobility and independence, are particularly vulnerable. So, what is the wiser path? If you enjoy that pickled tang, consider exploring the world of natural fermentation. Making your own sauerkraut or kimchi with minimal salt and no added sugar provides a similar flavor profile, along with beneficial probiotics that support gut health. If buying from the store, treat pickled items as a rare condiment, not a daily side dish. Always read the label. If the ingredient list includes high fructose corn syrup, sugar, or artificial colorings, steer clear. When it comes to your health, especially in your golden years, convenience should never come at the cost of well-being. Your heart and joints work tirelessly for you. Let's not make their job harder with every bite. We've just uncovered the fourth major insight. If you found this analysis of preserved foods enlightening, let us know by commenting with the number 4 below. Your interaction is incredibly motivating for us. The fifth secret: the path forward is wisdom, not restriction. After exploring the hidden challenges within nightshades, oxalates, and processed vegetables, it would be easy to feel overwhelmed, perhaps even a little betrayed by the very foods you thought were your allies. But the ultimate secret, the fifth and most important one, is not about creating a longer list of forbidden foods. It is about shifting your entire perspective on what it means to eat for health in your senior years. The path forward is not paved with fear and restriction, but with curiosity, mindfulness, and a deep, respectful wisdom about your own body. Getting older isn't about giving up, it's about getting smarter. The core principle of this new approach is to transition from being a passive follower of generic dietary rules to becoming an active and engaged detective of your own body. Nobody can tell you with absolute certainty how your unique system will react to a specific food. Your body, however, is sending you signals every single day. The key is to learn how to listen. Start by keeping a simple food and symptom journal for a few weeks. It doesn't need to be complicated. In one column, jot down what you eat. In another, note how you feel an hour later, that evening, and the next morning. Do you feel bloated after that tomato sauce? Are your joints a little stiffer after that spinach salad? Is your energy flagging? This simple act of observation is the most powerful diagnostic tool you possess. It allows you to connect the dots between what you eat and how you feel, empowering you to make personalized adjustments that work for you, not for a generic, average person. The second pillar of this wisdom-based approach is to embrace the power of rotation and variety. Many of us fall into dietary ruts, eating the same few healthy foods day in and day out. While routine can be comforting, it can also lead to the overconsumption of certain compounds, like oxalates or alkaloids, and potentially foster food sensitivities. Instead of eating spinach every day, create a rotating cast of green characters. Arugula one day, romaine the next, steamed kale after that, then perhaps some watercress. This not only prevents the buildup of any single potentially problematic compound, but also ensures you are getting a wider spectrum of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients, creating a more resilient and well-nourished internal ecosystem. Finally, rediscover the art of gentle cooking. In our rush to consume vegetables in their purest raw form, like in salads and smoothies, we sometimes forget that cooking can be an act of profound kindness to our digestive system. Lightly steaming, blanching, or roasting vegetables can often make them easier to digest and can significantly reduce levels of anti-nutrients, like oxalates and goitrogens. For example, boiling spinach for just a few minutes can slash its oxalate content by more than half. This doesn't mean you must cook everything, but understanding that preparation methods can transform a vegetable from a potential irritant into a gentle source of nourishment is a game-changing piece of wisdom. This is the ultimate act of self-care, recognizing that you have earned the right to feel good in your body, and that feeling often begins not with a pill or a fad diet, but with a smarter, more compassionate choice on your plate. These principles of mindful eating are perhaps the most valuable takeaway.
If you find these strategies for listening to your body and diversifying your diet helpful, please support our channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, and remembering to turn on the notification bell. This ensures you won't miss any of our future content designed to help you live your best life, and it helps us reach more people who need this information. As we draw this journey to a close, it's clear that aging gracefully is not a passive process. It is an active, conscious, and deeply personal art form. It requires us to gently release the one-size-fits-all health maxims of our youth and embrace a more tailored, intuitive approach to nourishment. The revelation that certain trusted vegetables, like tomatoes, spinach, or even canned corn, could be contributing to our aches and pains is not a cause for despair. On the contrary, it is a moment of profound empowerment. It hands the control back to you. We've learned that the alkaloids in nightshades can fuel inflammation for sensitive individuals. We've seen how the oxalates in supergreens can strain our kidneys and irritate our joints. We've uncovered the hidden assault of sodium and chemicals in convenient canned goods and the inflammatory cocktail of sugar and salt in many pickled products. But threaded through each of these warnings is a single, unifying message: awareness is your greatest ally. Every bite you take is a choice. It is a choice that either helps your joints move with greater freedom or makes them ache a little more. Every meal either strengthens and soothes your cardiovascular system or places it under silent stress. You don't need to panic or throw out everything in your kitchen. Simply start by being curious. Start by listening. The next time you experience that familiar stiffness or unexplained fatigue, gently ask yourself, could it be something on my plate? You have earned, through decades of life and experience, the right to feel vibrant, mobile, and joyful in your own body. So I will leave you with this final thought and an invitation. Choose just one of the insights from today that resonated with you. Perhaps it's swapping your white potatoes for sweet potatoes for a couple of weeks, or trying steamed spinach instead of raw. Make that one small change and pay close attention to the results. Give yourself permission to be surprised by how much better you can feel. It is never, ever too late to begin a new, healthier chapter, and sometimes that chapter begins with a single, quiet, and wise choice at the dinner table. After all of this analysis, what is the most important lesson you've learned for yourself today? And what is the first small step you plan to take? Please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Reading your reflections and commitments gives us incredible encouragement and helps build a community of shared wisdom. Thank you for investing this time in your health, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.